When the doctors first told Sheng Shao You that his pregnancy was rare and dangerous, he tried to stay strong. He had always been a proud alpha, powerful, controlled, untouchable. Yet now, his own body had become a battlefield. Every breath felt heavier, every step slower. It was supposed to be a miracle, something impossible, but instead, it felt like punishment. Hua Yong, the man he loved more than life itself, sat beside him every day, holding his hand, whispering promises he wasn't sure he could keep. But no matter how much Hua Yong tried to reassure him, Sheng could see the fear behind his eyes. Each morning began with pain. It wasn't the normal kind. It felt like his bones were tearing apart from the inside, like his body was rejecting the life growing within him. The doctors had warned that an alpha carrying a child was unnatural, that the human body wasn't made to handle it. Sheng tried to smile, tried to act brave, but deep down, he knew he was walking on the edge of life and death. Hua Yong would sit by the bed, watching the person he loved fade a little more each day, feeling helpless and guilty because this was all his doing. His love had created this child, and his selfishness might be the reason Sheng didn't survive. There were nights when Sheng screamed until he had no voice left. His body burned with fever, his heartbeat erratic, his skin pale as paper. Hua Yong would hold him close, trying to calm him down, his tears soaking into Sheng's hair. "It's okay, I'm here," he would whisper over and over again, though he was the one shaking. The doctors came and went, each visit leaving Hua Yong more broken. They said Sheng's body was collapsing under the pressure. They said if this continued, he might not make it to full term. They even suggested abortion again, to save Sheng's life. But Hua Yong refused, shaking his head furiously, shouting that he wouldn't let anyone take away their child. Sheng heard the argument once. He was lying in bed, half conscious, but he heard Hua Yong's trembling voice through the walls. He was crying, begging the doctor to find another way. For a moment, Sheng wanted to tell him it was okay to let go. He wanted to say that if this child was going to destroy him, maybe it was better to stop. But when Hua Yong came back into the room, his eyes red and desperate, Sheng couldn't say it. He saw the love in Hua Yong's eyes, the fear, the stubbornness. He reached out weakly, placing a trembling hand on Hua Yong's cheek. "Don't cry," he whispered, even though he was the one dying. "I'll be fine." But he wasn't fine. The bleeding got worse. Some nights, he would wake up drenched in sweat, feeling something warm trickle down his thighs. Hua Yong would panic, rushing to call the doctor, his voice trembling as he tried to stop the bleeding with shaking hands. Sheng hated seeing him like that. He hated being weak, hated that he was the reason Hua Yong's eyes were always full of fear. One night, when Hua Yong thought he was asleep, Sheng overheard him whispering to himself, "If he dies, I'll die too." That sentence stayed with Sheng for days. He wanted to live not for himself, but because Hua Yong wouldn't survive losing him. The pain became a constant rhythm in his life. Every movement hurt. His belly grew heavier, the pressure unbearable. There were moments when he couldn't breathe, when his heart raced so fast it felt like it would burst. The doctors started visiting every day, checking his vitals, warning Hua Yong that his condition was unstable. Hua Yong never left his side. He barely ate, barely slept. His only focus was keeping Sheng alive. Sometimes, when Sheng was too weak to open his eyes, Hua Yong would hold his hand and whisper stories about their future. How they would raise the baby together, how they'd take him to the park, how their home would be filled with laughter. Sheng would smile faintly, pretending he believed it. But deep down he knew those dreams were fading faster than his heartbeat. There were times when he lost consciousness. The world would fade into darkness, and he'd hear voices calling his name from far away. Once, he thought he saw his mother, her gentle smile, her soft hand reaching for him. But then Hua Yong's cries pulled him back. "Please, wake up," Hua Yong sobbed, pressing his forehead against Sheng's hand. "Please don't leave me. I can't do this without you." The sheer desperation in his voice broke through the fog in Sheng's mind, dragging him back from the edge. When he opened his eyes, Hua Yong looked at him like he was a miracle. But all Sheng could think was, for how long? The following weeks were a blur of hospital visits, injections, medications, and tears. Sheng's body was shutting down, but he refused to give up. He wanted to meet his child, to see Hua Yong smile again. Even in his suffering, he would try to comfort Hua Yong, joking weakly about baby names, or asking if Hua Yong had eaten. Hua Yong would just shake his head and kiss his forehead, too afraid to speak. The love between them had become a painful bond, strong, but breaking under the weight of reality. The day his condition worsened, it was raining heavily. The sound of thunder echoed through the hospital walls as doctors rushed around him. Sheng's blood pressure dropped dangerously low. Hua Yong was holding his hand, crying, begging the doctors to save him. "Please do something!" He screamed, his voice hoarse. Sheng could barely see him through the haze, his vision blurred by pain and exhaustion. He wanted to tell him to stop crying, to smile one more time. But no words came out. His fingers twitched weakly in Hua Yong's hand, and then everything went silent. For a terrifying moment, it felt like time stopped. Hua Yong froze, watching the monitor as the beeping slowed down, almost fading completely. His whole world shattered in that instant. "No, no, no, please!" He screamed, shaking Sheng's shoulders. The doctors pushed him aside, working frantically, shouting instructions. Hua Yong stood there, numb, his heart breaking into pieces. He thought he had lost him. And then, faintly, the sound of a weak heartbeat returned. The doctor sighed in relief, but warned that Sheng couldn't take much more. He was slipping further away each time his body gave out. Hua Yong sank to his knees beside the bed, gripping Sheng's hand and pressing it to his lips. "I won't let you go," he whispered, "even if you hate me for it. I'll fight God himself if I have to." As the night fell, the rain outside grew stronger, mirroring the storm in Hua Yong's heart. Sheng lay unconscious, pale and fragile, his breathing shallow. Hua Yong stayed beside him, holding his hand tightly, praying silently that morning would come, and that this time Sheng would still be alive to see it. Machines beeped in uneven rhythm, echoing the struggle of a heart that refused to stop. Hua Yong sat by Sheng Shao Yu's bed, his body stiff and exhausted, his mind trapped between hope and despair. He hadn't moved for hours. His hand was locked around Sheng's pale fingers, afraid that if he let go, the faint warmth there would fade forever. The scent of medicine and disinfectant filled the air, but beneath it was the faint trace of Sheng's scent. Faint, fragile, yet enough to keep Hua Yong breathing. Every second was a torture. Every breath Sheng took was a miracle. The doctors had warned him that the situation was critical. Sheng's body was breaking down under the impossible strain of carrying a child as an alpha. The pregnancy was never meant to happen. Even enigmas like Hua Yong rarely caused this kind of phenomenon. It defied nature, defied logic, and now it was killing the person he loved most. Hua Yong had been warned many times that this could end badly, that both Sheng and the baby might not survive. But when he looked at Sheng lying there, so still, so weak, he couldn't accept it. He would rather die than imagine a world without him. The previous night had been chaos. Sheng had collapsed suddenly, blood pooling beneath him, his body trembling uncontrollably. Hua Yong had carried him to the hospital himself, shouting his name, praying, begging the heavens not to take him. His hands had been stained with Sheng's blood, bright red, terrifying, a color that haunted him now. The doctors had rushed Sheng into surgery, and for hours Hua Yong had waited outside, pacing like a madman, unable to breathe, unable to think. When the door finally opened, he had seen the exhaustion in the doctor's eyes before hearing the words, "He's stable." For now. Those 3 words became Hua Yong's fragile lifeline. Now, as dawn approached, Sheng finally stirred. His eyelashes trembled like a butterfly's wings, his chest rising and falling in shallow rhythm. Hua Yong froze, afraid to move, afraid it was a dream. Then Sheng's lips parted, and a faint whisper escaped. His name. Hua Yong. The sound was soft, weak, but it hit Hua Yong harder than any scream. He leaned forward, tears already blurring his vision. "You're awake," he said shakily, his voice breaking between laughter and sobs. He touched Sheng's face with trembling fingers, afraid that even his touch might hurt him. Sheng's skin was cold, almost lifeless, but beneath it there was still warmth. A warmth that Hua Yong would protect with his life. Sheng tried to smile, but even that seemed to drain his strength. "You're still crying," he murmured faintly. His voice was rough, almost gone, but his tone carried that familiar teasing softness. Hua Yong laughed through his tears, shaking his head. "I thought I lost you," he whispered, his words trembling. "You stopped breathing for almost 2 minutes, Sheng. 2 minutes felt like eternity."